Jaina Agama Gyan. Anga Agamas. Acharanga Agama.
इमेण चेव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं जहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिण्णाविवेगे भासिये.
Acharanga Sutra, Acharanga Agama Shastra, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Stavir. The name of the second chapter is Shaya Aishayana. In the Jain tradition, the term Shaya represents a special meaning. Here it does not simply mean bed, which is its dictionary meaning. It includes all the equipment used for sitting, reclining or sleeping, such as bed, board, divan, stool, chair, etc. Ishana means search or exploration. To ponder and evaluate about acceptable and unacceptable with regard to search, acquisition and use of equipment for sleep for a disciplined ascetic is called Shaya Shashna. The chapter which contains codes about search, acquisition and use of such equipment is the Shaya Shana chapter. As food and drinks are required to maintain the human body for spiritual pursuits, so is required bed to provide rest to the body and help protect it from heat, cold and sickness and keep it fit for spiritual pursuits. This chapter has 3 lessons. The first lesson contains information about faults of origin related to the place of stay and harms caused by presence of householders and others. The second lesson contains various possibilities of faults related to the place of stay, upashraya, and the related prudence and censures. The third lesson contains procedures about pursuing equanimity at convenient and inconvenient places. First lesson. If a monk or a nun want to ask for a lodging and having entered a village or scot-free town, conceive that lodging to contain eggs, living beings, they should not use it for religious postures, night's rest or study. But if the lodging contains only few eggs or few living beings, they may, after having inspected and cleaned it, circumspectly use it for religious posture. Now if they conceive that the householder, for the sake of nirgrantha and on behalf of a fellow ascetic, male or female, one or many, gives a lodging which he has bought or stolen or taken, though it was not to be taken or given, but was taken by force by acting sinfully towards all sorts of living beings, they should not use for religious postures such a lodging which has been appropriated by the giver himself. Search for upashraya, free of creatures. Sutra 78 says, on entering a village, town or city in search of an upashraya, a place of stay, and while exploring for it, if a bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that the upashraya is infested with eggs, cobwebs, he should avoid its use for meditation, sleeping and studies. However, if the bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that the Upashraya is not infested with eggs, cobwebs. He should inspect and clean the Upashraya and use it for meditation, sleeping, and studies. Upashraya means a house or facility constructed by a householder for his own use, where ascetics stay after seeking permission from the owner. It is also called Vasati. Such place should be flawless and undefiled. A place where the stay by an ascetic does not put any being to harm or inconvenience, and when there is no disturbance to the ascetic in his activities like meditation, studies, and normal movement. An ascetic explores an upashraya mainly for three activities: Tanam for kayosarga, disassociation of mind from the body or meditation; Sejam for sitting, sleeping, and other normal activities; Nishiyam for studying. In ancient times, the place for studies was different from the place of stay and in isolation, and visitors were prohibited. That is why the place of study was called a prohibited area or Nishedaki or Nishiya. The same holds good if there be, instead of a fellow ascetic, many Shramanas and Brahmanas, guests, paupers, and beggars. But if the lodging has been appropriated by another man than the giver, they may, after having inspected and cleaned it circumspectly, use it for religious postures. Censure of the intentionally built. Sutra 79. If the bhikshu or bhikshuni finds an upashraya that has been constructed for some particular co-religionist ascetic, and the process involves violence of being, or has been purchased or borrowed or forcibly snatched from others or taken without the permission of its owner, then it should not be used for meditation and other mentioned activities, irrespective of its having been used or not used by the owner. In the same way, if it has been constructed for many co-religionist ascetics or single female ascetic or many female ascetics, such upashraya should be considered prohibited for meditation by ascetics. A monk or a nun, knowing that the layman has, for the sake of the mendicant, mated the lodging, whitewashed it, strewn it, smeared it, levelled, smoothed, or perfumed it, should not use that lodging which has been prepared for by the giver himself for religious postures. But if it has been prepared by another person, they may circumspectly use it for religious postures. Used upashraya. 80. Sutra. A bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if an upashraya has been constructed specifically for a large number of shramans, Brahmins, guests, destitutes, and beggars by sinful activities against 6 life forms, and has other flaws like a kriti purchased specially for someone. If it is so and it has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. If the bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that an upashraya has been constructed specifically for a large number of shramans, Brahmins, guests, destitute, and beggars, and if it has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. However, if it has already been used by the owner and his permission has been taken, then it can be used after inspecting and cleaning by the ascetic for his ascetic activities, including meditation. A monk or a nun, knowing that a layman will, for the sake of mendicant, make small doors large, spread his couch, or place it outside, should not use such a lodging which has been appropriated by the giver himself for religious postures. But if it has been appropriated by another person, they may circumspectly use it for religious postures. Sutra 81. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if an upashraya has been constructed specifically for ascetic. It has been decorated with things like wood. It has been constructed with bamboos. It has been thatched with hay or other such things. It has been plastered with cow dung or other such things. It has been cleansed, grounded, polished, and leveled. It has been fumed with incense or other aromatic things. If such a pashriya has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. However, if it has already been used by the owner or a householder, then it can be used after inspecting and cleaning by the ascetic for his ascetic activities, including meditation. Technical term: cardia, covered or decorated on all sides with reed or cane mattresses. Ukayambiya, to fix bamboos horizontally on pillars. Chatte, to thatch with hay or other such materials. Leti, to plaster walls and floor with cow dung or other material. These are secondary activities and they obliterate the original activities. Ghate, to make a rough surface plain by grinding with lime, stone and other such material. Mate, to make smooth. Samate, to clean. Sampada dhuvate, to make fragrant by burning incense or any other aromatic material. Again, a monk or a nun, knowing that the layman, for the sake of the mendicant, removes from one place to another, or places outside bulbs or roots, or leaves, or flowers, or fruits, or seeds, or grass blades of water plants, should not use such a lodging which is appropriate by the giver himself for religious postures. But if it has been prepared by another person, they may circumspectly use it for religious postures. Sutra 82. A bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if an upashriya has been renovated by enlarging smaller doors, as mentioned in the Pindashana chapter, or even the greenery inside or outside the house has been dug out or cut before making bed, or some other things have been removed from that place. If such upashriya has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. However, if it has already been used by the owner or a householder, then it can be used for inspecting and cleaning by the ascetic for his ascetic activities, including meditation. A monk or a nun, knowing that the layman, for the sake of mendicant, removes from one place to another, or places outside a chair or a board or a ladder or a mortar, should not use such a lodging place. Sutra 83. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find it if at aquatic bulbous roots, stalks, leaves, flowers or fruits are being shifted from one place to another within the premises or being brought out from the upashriya by a householder. If such upashriya has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. However, if it has already been used by the owner or a householder, then it can be used after inspecting and cleaning by the ascetic for his ascetic activities, including meditation. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging place above ground as a pillar or a raised platform or a scaffold or a second story or a flat roof. Likewise, no underground place. If by chance they are thus lodged, they should there not wash or clean their hands or feet or eyes or teeth or mouth with hot or cold water, nor should they put forth there any other secretion as excrements, urine, saliva, mucus, bilious, humor, ichor, blood, or any other part of the bodily humors. The Kavalin says this is the reason. Making secretions, he might stumble or fall. Stumbling or falling, he might hurt his hand. or any other limb of his body, or kill all sorts of living beings. Hence it has been said to the mendicant that he should use no above ground lodging place for religious postures. Sutra 84. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if stools, platforms, ladders, motors, and other such things are being shifted from one place to another within the premises are being brought out from the upashriya by a householder in order to prepare it for the stay of ascetic. If such upashriya has not already been used by the owner, then it should not be used for ascetic activities, including meditation. However, if it has already been used by the owner or a householder, then it can be used after inspecting and cleaning by the ascetic for his ascetic activities, including meditation. A monk or a nun on a begging tour should not use for religious posture a lodging place used by the householder in which there are women, children, cattle, food, and drink. This is the reason. A mendicant living together with a householder's family may have an attack of gout, dysentery, or vomiting, or some other pain, illness, or disease may befall him. The layman might, out of compassion, smear or anoint the mendicant's body with oil or ghee or butter or grease, rub or shampoo it with perfumes, drugs, lodra, dye, powder, padmaka, then brush or rub it clean wash or sprinkle it with hot or cold water, kindle or light a fire by rubbing wood on wood, and having done so he might dry or warm. Hence it has been said to the mendicant that he should not use the religious postures a lodging place which is used by the householder. In aphorism 81 to 84, four types of upashriyas, including those constructed for ascetics and unused, have been censured. Prepared and decorated for an ascetic, repaired or removed for an ascetic, bulbous roots are being shifted or taken away to make it suitable for an ascetic, stools and other such things are being shifted from there. It is mentioned in the Brihatkalpa Bhashya 583 and 84, there are chances of transgression of basic and secondary virtues during this process of preparing or renovating the house and shifting of live vegetables and lifeless things within or without. Here in Acharanga Sutra, the use of these four types of upashriyas has been censured as well as allowed. Such houses can be used for ascetic activities like meditation, provided they are Purusha Shanktakrit, not specifically prepared for ascetics and have already been used by householders. Once they are Purusha-krit, such upashriyas become free of flaws like Audashik, Krit, and Arba Krit. When a householder constructs a house for his own use, possesses it for his own use, allots it for his own or public use, uses it himself or allows others to use it, then that house no more remains intended for ascetic. It becomes made for other use. In Dashavalika Sutra 851, there is a permission for an ascetic to live in a house prepared for others. A house having flaws of basic attributes is not usable even if it is Purusha Antakrit. That is why other adjectives are used: Nihade, Attaye, Paribhute, Asvete.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते।
जैन आगमा ज्ञान Anga Agamas, Acharanga Agama.
इमेण चेव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं यहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिन्नाविवेगे भासिये
Acharanga Sutra, Acharanga Agama Shastra, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Stavir. Lesson 1, Part 2. This is another reason while a mendicant lives in a lodging used by the householder or his wife might bully, scold, attack, or beat each other. Then the mendicant might direct his mind to approval or dislike. Let them bully each other or let them not bully each other. Hence it has been said to the mendicant that he should not use for religious postures a lodging place used by the householder. Censure of stay in lofty upashraya. Sutra 85. A bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if an upashraya is located on a pillar, scaffold, second story, top of a palace, roof of a building, or other such higher places. He should not use such upashraya for his ascetic activities unless there is some strong reason to do so. If at all he has to stay at such place for some unavoidable reason, he should avoid washing hands, feet, eyes, teeth, or mouth with cold or hot water and attending to nature calls such as discharging stool, urine, cough, nasal mucus, vomit, bile, pus, blood, or any other such discharge of the body. This is because the Omniscient has said that these cause bondage of karma. For instance, while indulging in these activities, the ascetic may slip and fall. When he slips or falls from a high place, his hand, foot, head, or any other part of the body, or any of the sense organs may get injured and immobile, and mobile beings may get destroyed. Therefore, Tirthankaras have advised the ascetics to avoid using upashriyas located at such lofty places for their ascetic activities, including meditation. This is another reason while the mendicant lives together with householders, the householder might, for his own sake, kindle or light or extinguish a fire body. Then the mendicant might direct his mind to approval or dislike. Let them kindle or light or extinguish a fire body, or let them not do so. Hence it has been said to the mendicant. In the ancient times, ascetics generally stayed in small huts or dilapidated dwellings where householders did not live. Such places should be properly inspected and cleaned. Nature's call could also be attended to according to the codes, but it becomes difficult to properly throw away faces if the dwelling is at a height or in high-rise buildings. There are chances of slipping and getting hurt while coming down in the darkness of night. According to Acharya Sri Atmaramji, this is the only reason for this censure, as during that period crude ladders were used for climbing and the chances of falling or other such accidents were higher. That is why higher places were called difficult places. However, staying at such higher places is not prescribed if there is any easy passage, walls do not crumble due to movement, and there is no chance of going against the codes while attending to daily chores. Technical terms: Kand, an upashriya on a pillar or a scaffold. Faliho, door chain or board. Mancho, a covered place without walls. Pavilion. Malo, stories in the building. Pasado, a palace with many rooms. Hamamatalam, a lofty room at the top of the house. This is another reason while the mendicant lives together with householders, he might see the householders' earrings or girdle or jewels or pearls or gold and silver or bracelets or necklaces, like those consisting of 3 strings or those reaching halfway down the body or those consisting of 80 strings or 40 strings or 1 string or strings of pearls, golden beads or jewels, or decked or ornamented girl or maiden. Thus the mendicant might direct his mind to approval or dislike. Let her be thus, or let her not be thus. So he might say, so he might think. Hence it has been said to the mendicant. Censure of living in inhabited upashriya. Sutra 86. A bhikshu or a bhikshuni should not stay in an upashriya that is crowded with women, children, animals, and small creatures, or with food and other things meant for householders or animals. Sutra 87. Living in the same house with householder families is a source of faults for an ascetic. While living there, an ascetic may suffer from paralysis of limbs or swollen limbs, diarrhea, vomiting, or other ache, pain, or ailment. In such conditions, inspired by compassion, the householder will apply or rub oil, butter, cream, or fat on the body of the ascetic. After this, he will give a bath with pure and cold or hot water. Rub and iron the body once or repeatedly with aromatic paste, herbs, pigments, powder, or lotuses, or remove the dirt of the body by rubbing with a paste. He will wash the affected part with pure and cold or hot water once or many times, lightly or vigorously. He will rub dry timber to produce fire and add fuel to it to give warmth or to ferment the body of the ascetic. Anticipating the possibilities of so many faults while living with a householder family, the Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. This is another reason why a mendicant lives together with householders. The householders' wives, daughters, daughter-in-law, nurses, slave girls, or servant girls might say, these reverend Sramans have ceased from sexual intercourse. It behoves them not to indulge in sexual intercourse. Whatever woman indulges with them in sexual intercourse will have a strong, powerful, illustrious, glorious, victorious son of heavenly beauty. Hearing and perceiving such talk, one of them might induce the mendicant ascetic to indulge in sexual intercourse. Hence it has been said to the mendicant that he should not use for religious postures a lodging used by the householder. This is the whole duty. Thus I say. Sutra 88. Living in the same house with householder families is a source of faults for an ascetic. This is because the head of the family and other members, including servants, live there. They may abuse each other, fight, or turn violent. When the ascetic witnesses this, he may get mentally disturbed. He may think whether or not they should quarrel among themselves. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. Exploration of place. Prudence about upashriya. A house built on a pillar and with a curving passage or staircase of approach, a house built on a high platform where there are chances of falling or causing harm to beings while ascending or descending. A place where women and children live, domestic animals and birds are caged or tied. A place where daughters-in-law or maids of the householder take bath, cook, do makeup, quarrel. An ascetic should not use for his meditation studies kayosarga or stay such upashraya where women and animal are living. Sutra 89. Living in the same house with householder families is a source of faults for an ascetic. This is because the head of the family will burn and intensify fire for his use and also extinguish the burning fire. The ascetic staying there may have disturbing thoughts that whether or not the householder should burn or intensify a fire or extinguish a burning fire. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in such inhabited houses. Living in the same house with householder families is a source of faults for an ascetic. This is because there are chances of such ascetic being filled with feelings of attachment and aversions for reasons such as the ascetic may chance to look at a well-dressed young woman embellished with beads, pearls, silver and gold ornaments like earrings, belts, bracelets, armlets, 3-string necklace, flower garlands, 18-string necklace, 9-string necklace, single-string necklace, pearl necklace, gold necklace or gem necklace. This may cause disturbing thoughts that I also had such ornaments in my house, or my wife or daughter also looked like this or not. He may also silently appreciate or desire for these or express his thoughts aloud. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetic that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. Sutra 91. Living in the same house with householder families is a source of faults for an ascetic. The daughters-in-law, governess, female slaves and servants living there may sometimes talk that such ascetics are upright, virtuous, disciplined, composed and celibate. Therefore, sexual activity is prohibited for them. But if a woman can somehow have sex with an ascetic, she is sure to give birth to a brilliant, strong, brave, handsome, illustrious, valorous, scintillating and beautiful son. Listening to such exchanges, it is possible that one of these women, desirous of getting a son, could proceed to seduce the ascetic to have sex with her. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. This prudence in searching for bed stay is the totality of conduct, including the related to knowledge for that bhikshu or bhikshuni. In the aphorisms 86 to 91, staying of ascetics in inhabited dwelling has been censured, and warning has also been given that the dangers involved in such stay. With view to protect celibacy of disciplined ascetics, 3 types of dwellings have been censured: inhabited by women, inhabited by animals, and inhabited by yonches. In the said aphorism, 6 types of dwellings have been censured: inhabited by women, inhabited by animals, inhabited by yonches, inhabited by mean and wicked persons or infants, inhabited by ferocious and violent creatures, inhabited by householders, parivrajakaas and people of other faith and their families. Places inhabited by animals may cause many flaws in conduct. A negligent householder may not feed domesticated animals and starve them, or the dwelling may catch fire. In such conditions, the wailing of the confined or tethered animal may become intolerable for the ascetic. In absence of the owner, the ascetic may have to resort to telling someone to do or doing himself the needful. A place inhabited by yonches is censured for the simple reason that it is detrimental to celibacy. A place inhabited by mean and wicked people is censured because such people may find fault, criticize, and turn against ascetics and annoy or slander them. Living in a dwelling where children live may inspire fondness and affection. Also, when their mothers bring the infants near ascetics, the proximity may disturb their ascetic activities like meditation. Living at a place frequented by lions, snakes, tigers, dogs, cats, and other such ferocious animals may invoke fear and curiosity in the ascetics and cause insomnia. Living in dwelling with women is against the code of celibacy. Mendicants belonging to other faiths like Parivratakas may create doubts in the mind of an immature ascetic and cause him to drift away from his faith. Living in a dwelling where a householder and his family lives in is also fraught with many dangers. For example, the ascetic may suddenly fall ill and the householder may resort to violence of 6 life forms as part of the treatment. The family squabbles and quarrels may disturb the composure of the ascetic. While cooking for himself, the householder may cook food specifically for the ascetic. Seeing a variety of ornaments and beautiful young women may trigger the past memories, and the ascetic may get attracted and sexually excited, and a woman may beseech him for intercourse in order to get a son. Elaborating the phrase Agnikayam Ujjwalija, 89 commentator Churni states, it means that a devout householder lights fire to discourage thieves and ferocious animals from approaching, or extinguishes fire completely to create darkness to misguide thieves and keep them away.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते.
Jaina Agama Gyan. Anga Agamas, Acharanga Agama.
इमेण चैव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं यहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिन्नाविवेगे भासिये.
Acharanga Sutra, Acharanga Agama Shastra, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Stavir. Second lesson. Some householders are of clean habits and the mendicants, because they never bathe, are covered with uncleanliness. They smell after it, they smell badly, they are disagreeable, they are loathsome. Hence the householders with regard to the mendicant put off some work which otherwise they would have done before, and do some work which otherwise they would have put off. Hence it has been said to the mendicant that he should not use for religious postures a lodging used by the householders. Falls at inhabited upashraya. Sutra 92. Some householders are sticklers for cleanliness. The stench coming out of the body and clothes of the ascetics, who normally do not bathe themselves, are doing urine therapy under some special circumstances, may be offensive or repulsive to them. For this reason, they would attend to their routine course earlier or later than the scheduled time due to the presence of ascetics. They should also eat or do other things untimely or not at all. Also, the ascetics would attend to their normal ascetic activities like inspection untimely or later on or not at all due to the presence of the householder. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code of ascetics that they should neither stay or do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. This is the reason, while a mendicant lives together with the householder might, for his own sake, have prepared something to eat. Then afterwards he might, for the sake of mendicants, prepare or dress food, and the mendicant might desire to eat or drink or swallow it. Hence it has been said to the mendicant. Sutra 93. While staying with householders, another cause of bondage of karmas may be a householder prepares a variety of food for himself. After that, he will start making food for ascetics and collect necessary material. Seeing that the food the ascetic could think of staying there with a desire to craving to eat. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. So, this is the reason. While the mendicant lives together with the householder, they may be ready would collect for the use of a householder. Then afterwards, the householder might, for the sake of mendicant, cleave or buy or steal wood, kindle or light by rubbing wood or wood on wood the fire body, and the mendicant might desire to dry or warm himself at or enjoy the fire. Hence it has been said to the mendicant. Sutra 94. While staying with householders, another cause of bondage of karmas may be the householder living in that house keeps a lot of wood stored for his own use. He will also cut, buy or borrow a variety of fuel for the ascetic, as well as produce fire by rubbing pieces of this wood and inflame it by adding fuel. There are chances that the ascetic would use this fire to warm himself just as the householder does, and drawing by the warmth he could like to stay there itself. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation, in inhabited houses. When in the night or twilight a mendicant, to ease nature, leaves the door open, a thief watching for an occasion might enter. It is not meet for the mendicant to say that this thief enters or does not enter, he hides himself or does not hide himself, he creeps in or does not creep in, he speaks or does not speak, he has taken it, another has taken it, it is taken from that man, this is the thief, this is the accomplice, this is the murderer, he has done so. The householder will suspect the ascetic, the mendicant who is not a thief, to be the thief. Hence it has been said to the mendicant. While staying in an inhabited house, it may so happen that during the night or other odd hours, the householder opens the gate to attend to nature's call. At that time, if a thief or his companion enters, the ascetic will have to remain silent. It is against this code to say a thief is entering the house or not entering, he is hiding or not hiding, he is jumping down or not, he is speaking or not, he has stolen or some other person has stolen, he has stolen things belonging to the householder or someone else. This is the thief and this is his companion. He is the killer or he has committed this crime. And if the ascetic remains silent, the householder will have suspicion of the ascetic being a thief when in fact he is not. Therefore, Tirthankaras have framed this code for ascetics that they should neither stay nor do their ascetic activities, including meditation in inhabited houses. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures sheds of grass or straw which contain eggs, living beings, but they may do so if they contain few eggs, few living beings. The term moksha samayare 92 conveys that if needed, an ascetic could use his own urine to wash his wounds or as medicine. This indicates that in ancient times too, auto urine therapy or cow urine therapy were prevalent. In modern times, a lot of research is being done on auto urine therapy, and many incurable diseases are being cured with its help. This confirms that the sages and shamans of that period were also aware of this therapy. The term Yuvase has been frequently used in these aphorisms. Here it does not mean upashraya, but the residence of a householder. According to Acharya Sri Atmaramji, here upashraya appears to have been used for a place near the cooking or eating area of a householder. In context of aphorism 95, it could be some inner room of the house. It could also be a place near the bedroom from where it is inconvenient for the ascetic to move around freely. There is a fear of a thief entering the house if the gate is left open. Thus, living in an inhabited house may be a source of numerous false inconvenience, disturbance, and suspicion for an ascetic. Explaining the phrase Athenem Tenamiti, the commentator Churni states an ascetic tells the householder about a thief, but if the thief is not found after searching, the householder starts suspecting the ascetic, thinking that the ascetic is an accessory to the theft, as he alone must have provided information to the thief. If the ascetic gives indication about the hiding place of thieves, it harms the thieves, and if he does not, he himself invites suspicion and displeasure of the householder. A mendicant should not stay in halting places, garden houses, family houses, monasteries where many fellow ascetics are frequently arriving. If the reverend persons continue to live in those places after staying there for a month in the hot or cold seasons or for the rainy season, O long lived one, you sin by overstaying the fixed time. Prudence about faulty and faultless place. In the Sutra 96, a bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if an upashraya has heaps of grass and hay, eggs, seeds, green plant, dew, sachit, water, anthill, moss, fungus, damp, sand, or cobwebs. If it is so, the ascetic should avoid its use for his stay, sleep, meditation, or other ascetic activities. If he finds that it is free of heaps of grass and hay, eggs, seeds, green plants, dew, sachit, water, anthill, moss, fungus, damp, sand, or cobweb, the ascetic may use it for his stay, sleep, meditation, or other ascetic activities. If the reverend persons repeatedly live in halting places after staying there for the proper time without passing 2 or 3 intermediate months somewhere else, O long lived one, you sin by repeating your retreat in the same place. 9 types of prudence of stay. Sutra 97. An ascetic should not use upashrayas, garden houses, residences of householders, hermitage, or other such abodes where mendicants of other faiths frequent for his month-long or other specific period stay. Here, in the east, west, north, or south, there are forsooth some faithful householders' wives who are not well acquainted with the rules of monastic life. Nevertheless, they believe in, perceive, or convinced of giving lodging to mendicants They accordingly give lodging places for the sake of many Shramanas and Brahmanas, guests, paupers, and beggars in workshops, chapels, temples, assembly halls, wells, houses, or halls for shopkeeping, or for keeping or building carriages, distillers, houses where dharba grass, bark, trees, wood, or charcoal are being worked, houses on burial places, rooms for retirement near the place of sacrifice, empty houses, hill houses, caves, stone houses, or palaces. He should say to those reverend persons who live in such like places as workshops, together with other guests, O long lived one, you sin by living in a place frequented by other sectarians. Sutra 98. If a bhikshu or bhikshuni uses time and again for his stay without special reason, an upashraya or other such places of stay already used by other ascetics as their seasonal month-long stay or monsoon stay, O long-lived ones, he is guilty of the fault of transgressing the periodic code. Here in the East, they accordingly give palaces. If the mendicants come there while the other religious men do not come there, they sin by living in a place not frequented by other mendicants. Sutra 99. If the ascetics return to stay at upashrayas or other such places of stay where they made seasonal month-long stay or monsoon stay without spending double the time at other places, O long-lived one, they are guilty of the fault of transgressing the restay code. Upasthana Kriya. In the east, west, north, or south, there are faithful householders, a householder or his wife, who will speak thus: it is not meet that these illustrious, pious, virtuous, eloquent, controlled, chaste ascetics who have ceased from sexual intercourse should dwell in a lodging which is adhikarmika. Let us give to the mendicants the lodgings which are ready for our use, workshops, and let us afterwards prepare lodgings for our own use, workshops. Hearing and perceiving such talk, if the reverend persons frequent such like lodgings, workshops, and live in them which are seated by other people, O long-lived ones, Vargya Kriya. In this world, there live many devout citizens, their families and servants in the east, west, south, and north, says in the Sutra 100. Although they have not heard about the proper code of conduct of Nirgrantha ascetics, however, they have heard that giving a place of stay for sages and monks in charity begets fruits like passage to heaven. Having faith, awareness, and interest in this statement, these householders have constructed large buildings for the use of Buddhists, Shramans, Brahmins, destitute, and beggars in their villages or towns. For example, smithy, hostels adjacent to temples, assembly halls, water huts, shops, warehouses, garages, chariot workshops, lime factories, processing houses for grass, leather, and bark, coal factory, carpentry, dwellings on cremation ground, hills, caves, rest houses, stone houses, and cellars. If such smithy and other said dwellings have already been used for stay by Buddhists, Brahmins, and then Nirgrantha ascetics come and stay, O long-lived one, that place is said to be already used. This means it is proper for an ascetic to stay there. Here in the East, they give lodging places for the sake of many Sramanas and Brahmanas, guests, paupers, and beggars, after having well counted them in workshops. If the reverend persons frequent such like lodgings and live in them which are seated by other people, they should be warned, O long-lived one, that lodging is infected by the sin called Mahavarga Kriya.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते।
Jaina Agama Gyan. Anga Agamas, Acharanga Agama.
इमेण चैव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं यहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिण्णाविवेगे भासिये।
Acharanga Sutra, Acharanga Agama Shastra, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Stavir. Lesson 2, Sutra 101. In this world there live many devout citizens, their families and servants in the east, west, south and north. Although they have not heard about the proper code of conduct of Nirgrantha ascetics, however, they have heard that giving a place of stay for sages and monks in charity begets fruits like passage to heaven. Having faith, awareness and interest in this statement, these householders have constructed large buildings for the use of Buddhists, Shramans, Brahmins, destitute and beggars in their villages or towns. For example, smithy, hostels adjacent to temples, assembly halls, water huts, shops, warehouses, garages, chariot workshops, lime factories, processing houses for grass, leather and bark, coal factory, carpentry, dwellings on cremation ground, hills, caves, rest houses, stone houses and cellars. If such smithy and other such dwellings have not already been used for stay by householders, Buddhists, Brahmins and Nirgrantha ascetics come and stay there for the first time. O long lived one, they are guilty of transgression of the code of already used place. This means it is not proper for an ascetic to stay there. Here in the east, they accordingly give, for the sake of many sorts of Shramanas, after having well counted them, lodging places, workshops, if the reverend persons frequent such like lodgings, workshops and live in them, which are seeded by other people, O long lived ones, that Sava Adhyaya Kriya. It is called lodging is infected by the sin, called Savadhyaya Kriya. Sutra 102. In this world there live many devout citizens, their families and servants in the east, west, south and north who are familiar with code of monks. As they are already aware of this, they discuss among themselves, these Ramanas are virtuous and celibate. They are not allowed to stay at upashrayas with adha karma fault, that is, anything specially meant or prepared for ascetics. Therefore, we will give smithy and other said dwellings constructed for our use to these Shramanas. We will construct more for our own use later. Those Shramanas who come and stay in the said smithy and other dwellings, even after hearing and understanding this and staying there, use other small and large donated places, O long lived one, they are guilty of transgression of the code of prohibited places. Varjakriya. Here in the east, they accordingly prepare for the sake of one sort of Shramanas, lodgings, workshops, for which purpose great injury is done to the earth, water, fire, wind bodies, plants and animals. Great injury, great cruelty, great and manifold sinful acts by wasting cold water or strewing smearing it with cow dung, shutting the doors and securing the bed, lighting a fire. If the reverend persons frequent such like lodgings, workshops, and lead in such seated lodging an ambiguous life, O long lived one, that lodging is infected by the sin called Mahasavadhyaya Kriya. But if the lodgings, workshops are prepared by the householders for their own sake under the same circumstances as detailed in the preceding paragraph, and the reverend persons frequent such like lodgings, they lead in those lodgings an unambiguous life. O long lived one, that lodging is infected by the very small sin called Alpa Savadhya Kriya. This is the whole duty, thus I say. Sutra 103. In this world there live many devout citizens, although they have not heard about the proper code of conduct of Nirgrantha ascetics. However, inspired by faith, awareness, and interest, these householders construct smithy and other set types of large buildings at different places, specifically for the use of Buddhist Brahmanas, Brahmins, destitute, and beggars. After assessing their numbers, the Nirgrantha ascetics who come and stay there and also use for stay other such large and small gifted places, O long lived one, they are guilty of transgression of the code of strictly prohibited places. Mahavarjya Kriya. Sutra 104. In this world there live many devout citizens who are not properly aware of the code of conduct of ascetics, but still have faith, awareness, and interest in them. They construct smithy and other set types of large buildings at different places for one specific type of Shraman. The Nirgrantha ascetics who come and stay at dwellings made for all types of Shramans and also use of stay or other such gifted places, O long lived one, they are guilty of transgression of the code of prohibition of places made for this purpose. Savadhya Kriya. Sutra 105. In this world there live many devout citizens who have faith, awareness, and interest in Shramanas. They construct smithy and other set types of large buildings at different places, specifically for the use of all types of Shramanas. These dwellings have been constructed sinfully with intense sinful intent and grave sinful action against 6 life forms and by indulging in a variety of other sinful deeds. For example, for the benefit of ascetics, the roof has been laid, plastered, and polished. The ground has been leveled for making bed. Doors have been made. Water has already been poured. Fire has already been burned. For warmth and other such things have already been done. The Nirgrantha ascetics who come and stay at such sinfully constructed dwellings and also use for stay such other such gifted places in fact live in contradictions. O long lived one, they are guilty of grave transgression of the code of prohibition of places made for this purpose. Mahasavadhyaya Kriya. Sutra 106. In this world there live many devout citizens who have faith, awareness, and interest in Shramanas. They construct smithy and other set types of large buildings at different places for their own use. These dwellings have been constructed sinfully with intense sinful intent and grave sinful action against 6 life forms and by indulging in a variety of other sinful deeds. Water has already been poured, fire has already been burned, and other such things have already been done there. The Nirgrantha ascetics who come and stay at such dwellings and also use for stay other such piously gifted places do not live in contradiction. O long lived one, they are not guilty of transgression of the code of prohibition of places made on purpose. Alpasavadhya Kriya. This prudence in searching for bed or place of stay is the totality of conduct including that related to knowledge for that bhikshu or bhikshuni. In aphorism 97 to 106, 9 types of beds have been defined. They Bed here means place of stay. In the chapter about places of stay in Brihatkalpa Bhashya, also the same 9 types of places of stay have been discussed in detail. Beds are of 9 types: Kalatikranta, Upasthana, Abhikranta, Anabhikranta, Varjya, Mahavarjya, Savadhya, Mahasavadhya, and Alpasavadhya. The attributes and meanings of these are as follows. Kalatikranta Kriya, when an ascetic has lived at a place for a seasonal stay or a monsoon stay and prolongs his stay even after completion of that period, it is called Kalatikranta Kriya, extended stay. Upasthana Kriya, when an ascetic returns and stays at an Upashriya where he spent a seasonal or monsoon stay without spending double the time at other places, it is called Upasthana Kriya, restay. For example, if he has stayed at a place for 1 month, he should spend 2 months at other places before coming back to the same place. If he has spent 1 monsoon stay at a place, he should spend 2 monsoon stays at other places before coming back to the same place. If he is not following this code, he is guilty of transgressing the code of Upasthana. Abhikranta Kriya, if a dwelling is always open for all and has already been used for stay by mendicants of other faith or householders, and then only Nirgrantha ascetics come and stay, it is known as Abhikranta Kriya. Anabhikranta Kriya, if a dwelling is always open for all and has not been yet been used for stay by mendicants of other faith or householders, and Nirgrantha ascetics are first to come and stay, it is known as Anabhikranta Kriya, staying at unused place. Varjya Kriya, it is a place constructed by a householder for his own use but later given to ascetics for their stay, and a new place constructed for his own use as it is to be avoided by an ascetic, it is called Varjya. Using such place for stay is called Varjya Kriya. Mahavarjya Kriya, a dwelling specifically constructed by a householder for the use of Buddhists, Shramanas, Brahmins, destitute and beggars, is strictly prohibited for Nirgrantha ascetics. Staying there is called Mahavarjya Kriya. Savadhya Kriya, a dwelling intentionally made by a householder for all 5 types of Shramans, Nirgrantha, Shakya, Tapas, Gairik and Ajivak, is called Savadhya dwelling. Staying here is called Savadhya Kriya. Mahasavadhya Kriya, a dwelling intentionally made by a householder only for Nirgrantha Shramans, is called Mahasavadhya dwelling. Staying here is called Mahasavadhya Kriya. Alpasavadhya Kriya, the dwellings which are free of Kalatikranta and other said flaws and the householder has constructed them for his own use are called Alpasavadhya. If the itinerant ascetics come there and stay as routine, it is called Alapasavadhya Kriya. Here the prefix alpa is used to indicate absence. Therefore such dwelling is free of Savadhya Kriya or flawless. Malayagiri Vritti of Brihatkalpa Bhashya verses 593 to 599. Out of these 9 types of dwellings, 7 have flaws and therefore prohibited for ascetics. Acharya Sri Atmaramji finds Abhikranta and Alpasavadhya dwellings acceptable for ascetics. The commentator Vritti defines Abhikranta and Anabhikranta as having minute flaws and improper respectively. Even the Anabhikranta category is prescribed only as long as the place remains unused. 5 types of Shramans are Nirgrantha or Jain, Shakya or Buddhist, Tapas, Gairik and Ajivak. When a householder constructs dwellings for himself and his own use, he himself is responsible for the sinful deeds involved. This is because this does not involve the purpose of use by ascetics as they come and stay there simply by chance. Therefore, for ascetics, Alpasavadhya Kriya is faultless and acceptable. Technical terms. Udubandhiyam, seasonal period or remaining period. This means 8 months of any year other than the monsoon period. Vasavasiyam, the 4-month monsoon period or monsoon stay. Uvayatnita, after spending. Apariharita, not spending at other places. Aisanani, workshops such as smithy and goldsmithy. Ayatani, hostels or tenements made near temples. Paniyagihani, shops. Paniyasalo, warehouses. Kamantani, factories. Salavotam, stone pavilion. Bhavanagihani, cellar or basement. The commentator Vritti has defined the phrase Dupakam, they come 70, as physically or in appearance they are ascetics, but as they use an upashriya prescribed due to adhakarmi fault intentionally made for them, mentally they have become householders. Thus they live in contradiction, because physically they act as ascetics and mentally as a householder. Sante Gatiya Sadha. There are some devotees, according to the commentator Vritti, Sadha means a noble householder. But according to Acharya Sri Atmaramji, it means a devotee who is ignorant about the ascetic parasics but is devoted to ascetics. The list of dwelling places given in aphorism 109 informs us that during that period, different types of workplaces were constructed to suit different industries. Shushan Kamatani and other such phrases inform that dwellings were also made at places like cremation ground, jungle, mountains, caves, where hermits and sages frequented and stayed. Nirghrantha Sramanas, Jain ascetics, also used such peaceful and solitary places.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते.
Jaina Agama Gyan. Anga Agamas, Acharanga Agama.
इमेण चैव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं यहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिन्नाविवेगे भासिये.
Acharanga Sutra, Acharanga Agama Shastra, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Stavir. Third lesson. It is difficult to obtain pure, acceptable alms. It is indeed not free from such preparations as strewing the ground with dharba grass, smearing it with cow dung, shutting the door and securing the beds. And he, the mendicant, delights in pilgrimage, religious exercises, study, begging for a bed, a couch or other alms. Some mendicants explain thus the requisites of lodging. They are called upright searching after liberation, practicing no deceit. Some householders who, having learnt the requisites of a lodging place, fit one out accordingly, try to deceive the mendicant, saying, This lodging which we offer you has been assigned to you. It has been originally prepared for our sake or for the sake of some relations. It has been used, it has been relinquished. Explaining thus, he truly explains, the teacher says, well, he is an explainer of the truth. Upashriya with flaws. Upashriya with flaws, deception by householder. In the Sutra 107, it is not easy to get fault free of primary and secondary fault, and acceptable upashriya. It is difficult to get an acceptable upashriya because these contemptible activities are involved for the use of an ascetic. At some place the upashriya is thatched, at some place it is plastered or polished, at some place the floor is levelled for spreading bed, at some place the door is fixed to secure the upashriya, at some place food is cooked by the householder specifically for the ascetic, which is a fault related to food collection. Many ascetics are itinerant. Many practice kayosarga, disassociation of mind with the body, a type of meditation. Many pursue studies in isolation, and many are involved in exploration of bed and food for aged, ailing, and emancipated ascetic. It is not easy to find a place suitable for these activities. Thus, many unassuming and guileless ascetics following the path of discipline or liberation frankly tell householders about the ascetic norms related to upashriya. Some householders first construct an upashriya with an intention to provide it to ascetics, but later mislead by saying, we made this house for parivrajaks or for our own use or for our relatives. Others have lived in this house in the past, or we have kept this house unoccupied since long because we did not like it. Therefore, this has no flaws related to the ascetic use, and you may use this house for your stay. Being completely aware of the householder's deception and finding about the faults involved, a prudent ascetic should not stay in such upashriya. The disciple asks, is the statement of an ascetic who, being asked by a householder, frankly explains the ascetic norms about upashriya proper? The preceptor says, yes, it is proper. Elaboration. The commentaries, both Churni and Vritti, explaining the background of this aphorism, state, some ascetic comes to a village and goes to a house to seek alms. The householder tells him that the village has ample facilities for ascetic alms. Why does he not stay there? The ascetic informs that although food is available, a place of stay is not. The aphorism is in reply to this doubt. For a faultless place of stay, the three primary requirements are prashuk, it should be free of adharmic, made intentionally for ascetic, and other such faults. Unch, it should be free of secondary faults like thatching, and ishaniya, it should be free of all primary and secondary faults. Besides this, that place should also be suitable for meditation, studies, and other such essential ascetics activities. That is why finding a fault-free and suitable place of stay is considered difficult. The commentator Vritti, explaining Pinda say Sana, states when an ascetic stays at an upashriya after seeking permission from a householder. Out of devotion for the ascetic, the householder may prepare food and request the ascetic to accept it. If the ascetic takes that food, he is guilty of the fault of accepting food from the host. If he does not accept, the host may get angry and misbehave with or ignore the ascetic. Thus, getting a host who is aware of the ascetic praxis is also difficult. If a mendicant at night or at the twilight leaves or enters a small lodging, one with a small door, a low off or cramped lodging, he should put forward first his hand, then his foot, and thus circumspectly leave or enter it. The Kavalim says this is the reason there might be a badly bound, badly placed, badly fastened, loose umbrella, pot, stick, staff, rope, hide, leather, boots, or piece of leather belonging to Shramanas or Brahmanas. And the mendicant, when leaving or entering the lodging at night or twilight, might stumble or fall, stumbling or falling. He might hurt his hand or foot, kill all sorts of living beings. Hence, it has been said to the mendicant that one should put forward first the hand, then the foot, and thus circumspectly leave or enter such a lodging. How to be prudent about accepting an upashraya. Sutra 108. If a bhikshu or bhikshuni gets an upashraya that is small or has small entrance or is low, or its gate remains closed and is occupied by charak and other parivrajaks, and the ascetic has to stay there for some reason, then while going out or entering that dwelling during the night or some other odd hour, he should first explore with his hands or ascetic broom, and then only put his foot forward. The omniscient says otherwise it causes bondage of karmas. This is because there are chances of causing damage to a variety of equipment belonging to Shakya and other Shramans or Brahmins, lying there in unpacked, disorderly, loose and unstable condition. The equipment being umbrella, pot, stick, staff, mattress, pipe, used as staff, rope, curtain or mosquito net, hide, leather bag or leather belt. During the night or other odd hour while entering or going out, if an ascetic slips and falls, he may damage these things or damage or break his own limbs or other parts of the body or harm, crush or kill other creatures. Therefore, for ascetics, the Tirthankaras have advised that while going out or entering such dwelling during the night or some other odd hour, he should first explore with his hand and then only put his foot forward. He should be careful while going out or coming in. He, the mendicant, should at halting places ask for a lodging place after having inquired who is the landlord or who is the tenant. He should ask permission to use the lodging place in this way. By your favor, O long-lived one, we shall dwell here for a while for the time and in the place which you will concede. If the landlord should object and say that he owns the lodging for a limited time only, or if he asks for the number of months for which the lodging is required, he should answer, as long as this lodging belongs to you, or for the sake of as many fellow ascetics as shall stand in need of it, we shall occupy the lodging. Afterwards we shall take to wanderings. Procedure of seeking upashraya. Sutra 109. Finding an upashraya or any other place of stay, the ascetic should inquire that who is the owner or manager of the place. After this he should beg for it. Long-lived one, if you permit me, I would like to stay in a portion allotted by you for a period allowed by you. If the householder asks on the request of the ascetic, how long will you stay here? The ascetic should reply, O long-lived noble householder, we are allowed to stay at one place for 4 months during the monsoon season and only for a month during the remaining period of the year. However, we will stay in the portion you provide for the period you specify and then depart from here. Any other co-religionist ascetics who happen to come here will also stay in a portion you provide for a period you specify and then depart from there. A monk or a nun may know the name and gotra of him in whose lodging he lives. In that case, they should not accept food in that house, whether invited or not invited, for it is impure and unacceptable. Censure of food provided by the host. Sutra 110. The bhikshu or bhikshuni should find in advance the name and clan of the householder at whose place he stays. After that, he should not accept any food coming from his house, considering it to be faulty and unacceptable, irrespective of whether or not he is invited. Elaboration. The Jain terminology, the host who provides a place of stay to an ascetic is called Shayatara, one who swims across the ocean of mundane existence by donating a place of stay. Shaya, a Shayatar. Accepting food coming from the house of the Shayatar is prohibited. The reason given for this is that generally a person at whose house mendicants stay has to make all necessary arrangements including food. This may make these mendicants a burden on the householder, and many people could start refusing to provide a place of stay to visiting mendicants for this reason. This censure is designed to avoid ascetic becoming a burden on householders and causing them to indulge in any sinful activity. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging place which is used by the householder, which contains fire and water, for it is not fit for a wise man to enter or leave it. 8 prohibited upashriyas. 111. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if the available upashriya is occupied by householders, has fire in it, and has sachit water in it. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse, inquiry, revision, analysis, religious discussion, and contemplation as well. Even meditation, rest and study, and other ascetic activities should not be done here. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging for which they have to pass through the householders above, or to which there is no road, for it is not fair. Sutra 112. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if the available upashriya is accessible only through the residence of the householder, or is connected with such residence as has many entrances. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse. An ascetic should not stay in such upashriya. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging where the householder or his wife might bully or scold and each other. Sutra 113. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if the owner, his wife, servants, etc. of the available upashriya abuse or beat each other or create disturbances. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging where the householder or his wife rub or anoint each other's body with oil or ghee or butter or grease, for it is not fed. In Sutra 114, a bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if in the available upashriya its owner, his wife, servants habitually rub or apply oil, butter or fat on each other's body. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging where the householder or his wife rub or shampoo each other's body with perfumes, ground drugs, powder, lodra, for it is not fit. In the Sutra 115, it is said a bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if in the available upashraya its owner, his wife, servants habitually massage, rub, brush, anoint each other's body with water, aromatic paste, herbs, pigments, powder, or lotus to remove dirt. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging where the householder or housewife clean, wash, or sprinkle each other's body with cold or hot water, for it is not fit. In the Sutra 116, a bhikshu or a bhikshuni should find if in the available upashraya its owner, his wife, servants habitually sprinkle or pour cold or hot water on each other's body and wash or bathe each other's body with cold or hot water. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures lodging where the householder and his wife go about naked or hide themselves or talk about sexual pleasures or discuss a secret plan, for it is not fit. In the Sutra 107, a bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if in the available upashraya its owner's wife, maids habitually stand or sit naked and furtively discuss erotic topics or some secret conspiracy. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. A monk or a nun should not use for religious postures a lodging which is a much frequented playground, for it is not fit. In the Sutra 118, it is said, if bhikshu or bhikshuni should find if the available upashraya is decorated with paintings on various themes including male and female figure. If it is so, it is not proper for a wise ascetic to enter and leave that house. Such house is unsuitable for his discourse as well. In these 8 aphorisms, stay by ascetics in 8 types of upashraya has been censured, which has fire and water in it, which is accessible from within the residence of a householder or is adjacent to the bedroom of a householder or has numerous entrances, where the owner and his relatives quarrel or create disturbance, where male and female members of the household rub or apply each other's body with oil and other such things, where male and female members of the household rub or apply water, aromatic paste on each other's body, where male and female members of the household bathe each other, where male and female members of the household sit naked and discuss erotic subjects, where there are erotic paintings or pictures of women on the walls. If a monk or a nun wish to beg for a couch, they should not accept one which has they recognize such things.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते।
जैन आगमा ज्ञान। अंग आगमास, अचरंग आगमा।
इमेण चैव जुज्जाहि किं ते जुज्झेण वज्झो जुद्धारिहं खलु दुर्लभं यहेत्त कुशलेहिं परिण्णाविवेगे भासिये।
अचरंग सूत्र, अचरंग आगम शास्त्र, Book 2, Lecture 2, Begging for a Couch. Shaya Yashana, the search for bed. Sudharman, one of the 11 chief disciples, Ganadharas of Mahavira, compiled Acharanga Sutra, Book 1. Some are in the opinion of Acharanga Sutra, Book 2 is scripted by a Sthavir. Lesson 3. If a monk or a nun wish to beg for a couch, they should not accept one which they recognize full of eggs, living beings. If the couch is free from eggs, living beings, but is heavy, they should not accept such a couch. If the couch is free of eggs, living beings, light but not movable, they should not accept such a couch. If the couch is free from eggs, living beings, light, movable but not well tied, they should not accept such a couch. If the couch is free from eggs, living beings, light, movable and well tied, they may accept such a couch. 5 types of bed. In Sutra 190, when a bhikshu or bhikshuni wants to have a bed or plank, he should find if that bed is infested with eggs and other things including cobwebs. If it is so, he should not accept it when given. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that a bed is free of eggs and other things including cobwebs, but it is heavy, he should not accept it when given. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that the bed is free of eggs and other things including cobwebs and is lightweight also, but it is not returnable, the donor does not intend to take it back. He should not accept it when given. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that the bed is free of eggs and other things including cobwebs, is lightweight and is returnable also, but it is not properly tied, he should not accept it when given. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni finds that the bed is free of eggs and other things including cobwebs, is lightweight, is returnable and it is properly tied also, then he should accept it when given. For the avoidance of these occasions to sin, there are 4 rules according to which the mendicant should beg for a couch. Now this is the first rule for begging for a couch. If a monk or a nun beg for a couch, specifying its quality, one of ikata reed, a hard one of gantuka grass, of para grass, of peacock feathers, or hay, of kusha grass, of brush hair, of pakha, of pipala, of straw, they should after consideration say, O long lived one, O sister, please give me this here. If the householder prepares one of the above specified couches, or if the mendicant asks himself and the householder gives it, then he may accept it as pure and acceptable. This is the first rule. In this aphorism defines 5 conditions about accepting the bed. The commentator Churni has elaborated it as follows. A bed infested with insects, a bed free of insects but is heavy, a bed free of insects and is lightweight also but non-returnable, a bed free of insects, lightweight and returnable also but not properly tied. These 4 types of beds are not to be accepted. The 5th type is a bed free of insects, lightweight, returnable and properly tied also. This type of bed is acceptable. Now follows the second rule. If a monk or a nun beg for a couch, after having well inspected it, they should after consideration say, O long lived one, all as in the first rule. This is the second rule. If a monk or a nun beg for a couch of the above detailed description, one of the ikata grass from him in whose house he lived, they may use it if they get it. If not, they should remain in a squatting or sitting posture for the whole night. This is the third rule. Now follow the fourth rule. If a monk or a nun beg for a couch, such as it spreads either on the ground or on a wooden plank, they may use it if they get it. If not, they should remain in a squatting or sitting posture. This is the fourth rule. Technical terms. Lahuyam, small in size or weight. Santarak means the equipment used by an ascetic for sleeping, sitting, reclining. In the Prakrit dictionary, many meanings of this word are mentioned. Bed made of grass, hay, straw, or other such fibrous things, table, stool, plank, a bed made of rock or brick and mortar, place where ascetics stay. A monk who has adopted one of these four rules should not say we respect each other accordingly. Four codes of exploring for bed. Avoiding these faults regarding the bed, an ascetic should seek bed according to the following four pratimas or codes. First pratima, a bhikshu or bhikshuni should beg for a bed specifying the name of the desired type. For example, a bed made of ikat, khadi, nak, jantuk, parak or mundak, morang, kuracha, varavak or any other type of grass, reed, straw, fiber or feathers. Seeking any type of straw or a bed made of straw, an ascetic should tell the householder, specifying its name, long-lived noble householder, out of these beds would you please give me that particular bed. In this manner he should beg for a faultless and acceptable bed or accept it even if it is offered without begging. This is the first code. Second pratima. Seeing a bed lying in the house, a bhikshu or bhikshuni should beg thus, O long-lived householder, would you please give me any one of these beds? In this manner he should beg for a faultless and acceptable bed or accept it even when it is given without begging. This is the second code. Third pratima. If beds of dry grass and other said types of material are available in the Upashraya, an ascetic wants to stay, he should take a bed after seeking permission from the owner. If beds are not available in the Upashraya, he should spend the night sitting in Uttako, lotus or any other yogic postures, refraining from bringing straw for outside and making bed. This is the third code. Fourth pratima. If a bed is already made, for example that of rock wooden plant, in the Upashraya an ascetic wants to stay, he may use it after seeking permission from the owner. If there is no bed available there, he should spend the night sitting in Uttakatuk, lotus or any other yogic posture. This is the fourth code. If a monk or a nun wish to give back a couch, they should not do so if the couch contains eggs, a living being, but if it contains few living beings, they may restrainedly do so after having well inspected, swept and dried it. Sutra 121. An ascetic observing any one of these codes should not criticize or belittle other ascetics who follow other codes. Instead, he should think that the ascetics who observe any one of these four codes and he himself who also observes one of these codes are all followers of the order of the jina. This way all ascetics should lead their life with mutual respect. Elaboration. The commentator Vritti has given different names and meaning to these four resolutions. Udishta, design. I will accept a bed only if I get a predetermined type of bed out of the types mentioned here and no other. Preksha, I will accept the bed only if I see the said predetermined type of bed in the Upashraya and no other. Vidyamana, I will accept the bed only if I find the predetermined and available bed lying in the Upashraya or residence of the householder who offered stay and not bring one from outside for use. Yathasthana Tritarupa, generally available if I find an ordinary lying plank, rock or other type of bed, then only I will accept it, otherwise not. A monk or a nun on a begging tour or in a residence or on a pilgrimage from village to village should first inspect the place for easing nature. The Kaivalin says this is the reason. If a monk or a nun in the night or the twilight is nature in a place which they have not previously inspected. They might stumble or fall, stumbling or falling. They might hurt the hand or foot and kill all sorts of living beings. Prudence about returning the bed. Sutra 122. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni wants to return the bed to the householder, he should find it if it is infested with eggs, living beings, or cobwebs. If it is so, he should not return it. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni wants to return the bed to the householder, he should find if it is infested with eggs, living beings, and cobwebs. If it is not so, he should inspect it, clean it, place it in sun for some time, blow it clean, and then return it to the donor. A monk or a nun might wish to inspect the ground for their couch away from that occupied by a teacher or a sub-teacher, or by a young one or an old one, or a novice or a sick man, or a guest, either at the end or in the middle, either on even or uneven ground, or at a place where there is a draught or where there is no draught. They should then well inspect and sweep the floor and circumspectly spread a perfectly pure bed or a couch. Inspection of place of defecation. Sutra 123. The bhikshu or bhikshuni who permanently stays at a place for some reason, or one who spends a specific period at a upashraya or stays at a place during his wanderings from one village to another, should first look for and inspect a nearby place for defecation and waste disposal. The Omniscient has said that use of unexamined place for defecation is a cause of bondage of karma. This is because while defecation or waste disposal during the night or odd hours, that ascetic may stumble and fall. When he slips or falls in his hand, foot, head, or any other part of the body may get injured and immobile, and mobile beings existing there may be harmed, crushed, or destroyed. Due to this possibility, Tirthankaras and other sages have advised the ascetics to inspect and find a proper and fault-free place for defecation and waste disposal. Elaboration. To inspect the place for defecation and waste disposal is an important part of the ascetic praxis. Ignoring it gives rise to chances of committing many faults. This place is called Sthandadil land. In Uttaradhyayana Sutra, 10 points are mentioned for choosing a Sthandadil land where people do not frequent and look at. Use of that place does not cause any harm to anyone. It is a level land where there is no grass or leaves. It is free of insects like ants and worms. It is not very narrow. The ground is not such infested with beings. It is not far from the place or village of stay. It should not have rat holes where seeds or insects are not spread around. Having spread a perfectly pure bed or couch, a monk or a nun might wish to ascend it. When doing so, they should first wipe their body from head to heel. Then they may circumspectly ascend the perfectly pure bed or couch and circumspectly sleep in it. Prudence of going to bed. Sutra 124. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni wants to inspect the place for his bed, he should find a place other than that occupied by the acharya, upadhyaya, ganavachadak child, aged, newly initiated, sick, and guest ascetic. Finding such place within the upashraya at the end or in the middle, with even or uneven surface, airy or without ventilation. He should inspect and clean the ground and carefully spread a clean bed for himself. When a bhikshu or bhikshuni wants to enter the bed and sleep, he should first properly clean his body starting from head and ending at feet. Only after this he should enter the bed and go to sleep. While in bed, a bhikshu or bhikshuni should not disturb touch each other. This includes not touching hands with hands, legs with legs, and body with body. Without disturbing each other, he should sleep carefully in the bed. A monk or a nun sleeping in a perfectly pure bed or couch should have placed it at a distance from the next ones, that they do not touch their neighbor's hand, foot or body with their own hand, foot or body, and not touching it should circumspectly sleep in their perfectly pure bed or couch. Before inhaling or breathing forth, or coughing or sneezing or yawning or vomiting or irritating, a monk or a nun should cover their face or the place where it lies. Then they should circumspectly inhale or breathe forth. Whether his lodging be even or uneven, full of or free from draughts, full of or free from dust, full of or free from flies and gnats, full of or free from dangers and troubles in any such like lodging, one should contentedly stay, nor take offence at anything. This is the whole duty. Thus I say. Sutra 125. A bhikshu or bhikshuni should properly cover mouth or anus with hands before breathing, coughing, sneezing, yawning, belching or breaking wind, and then only attend to such demand of the body. Elaboration. In these aphorisms, directions have been given to avoid disrespect to elders and any type of violence, as well as to stick to social etiquette. As indicated in the aphorism, ascetics should leave enough area for the senior ascetics, including the acharya. He should spread his bed in the remaining area only. He should clean his body before entering bed. He should sleep carefully in the bed. While sleeping, he should avoid touching hands, feet, and body of other ascetics with his own hands, feet, and body. The commentator Vritti informs that an ascetic should sleep at least 1 cubit away from another ascetic. While sleeping or sitting in bed and breathing, coughing, sneezing, yawning, belching, or breaking wind, he should properly cover the involved part of the body with hands. Technical terms. Ayasena, guest, ascetic, asajeya, to touch, to collide, jambhayamane, while yawning, udhayi, while belching, vanti naseje, while breaking wind, asayam, mouth, posayam, anush, prudence of going to bed. Suitable bed. An ascetic can use the following faultless things for sitting, sleeping: wooden stool, plank or bed, hay or grass mattress, rock or a platform made of stone and mortar. Meditational posture. If uncontaminated and faultless bed is not available at some place, the ascetic should spend the night standing or sitting in the lotus pose during doing meditation or studies. He should never use a faulty bed. Prudence of sleeping. When an ascetic enters his bed to sleep, first of all he should perform katsyo sarga and then wipe his body with the specified piece of cloth. Aphorism. If he has to cough, sneeze or yawn, he should cover his mouth with his hand. While sleeping, the ascetic should keep a safe distance from each other to avoid touching. Equanimity in comfort and discomfort. Sutra 126. A bhikshu or bhikshuni may sometimes get either a comfortable or an uncomfortable bed, an airy or a stuffy place, a clean or a dusty upashraya, a mosquito free or mosquito filled upashraya, In the same way, he may sometimes get an old, dilapidated and ruined place, or a new and well-built place, or he may get a bed with or without nuisance. No matter whatever comfortable or uncomfortable bed or place he gets, he should live there with equanimity. He should not have even a trace of annoyance or dislike in his mind. This prudence in search for place of stay is the totality of conduct, including that related to knowledge, for that bhikshu or bhikshuni. He endures to remain composed in all respects. So I say, said the Stavera.
यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देव महावीर नमोऽस्तु ते।